Hi and welcome to another mood reading vlog or another reading diaries, and today we are going to spend a few days a week mood reading together. And today is a Sunday and we are going to start by finishing a book, and by finishing a book I mean I have like a few pages left because I'm already on the epilogue. So right now I'm reading That Kind of Guy by Stephanie Archer, which is a fake dating slash marriage of convenience novel slash enemies to lovers. It follows two characters. It follows Emmett and Avery. Emmett, he's a very successful businessman in this small town called Queen's Cove in Vancouver Island in Canada, and Avery, she is the manager of this restaurant. And the story starts because Avery, she wants to buy her the restaurant that she works at, but she hasn't been approved for a loan, so she needs someone to co-sign the loan with her. And Emmett, he wants to run for mayor because there's a problem with the power grid, and he wants to fix that problem with the power grid so his best friend can move back to the town, because his best friend's daughter has a health problem and they needed to move out of town because the town just deals with too many power outages and that was affecting the child. But when Emmett starts campaigning, he finds out that even though he's really well liked around town, people don't really trust him that much in order for him to become a mayor, because they see him as this bachelor who might not have as much loyalty to the town in order to stay there and become a mayor and stay in his role as a mayor and be a good mayor. So he has this brilliant idea of finding out a dutiful girlfriend or finding out someone that can show that he has loyalty. And because Avery needs someone to co-sign on her loan, and because Avery is also well loved around town and people trust her, he asks her to become his partner in this little scheme. Except that this little scheme, with time, this is a romance novel, so the scheme starts not being that much of a scheme as the story progresses. So as I said, I'm on the epilogue, and let's finish the book so I can give you my final review. So let's finish the last 2 pages of the book. Hi, it's been a few days and I finished reading That Kind of Guy and ended up giving it 3 stars. Basically, it was a fun, entertaining book, but I think that book had a lot of potential and there were some things I personally would love to see changed on the book. Not that it will change because this book has already been published, but basically I thought I liked the dynamic between the characters. I like how entertaining and funny the story is, just like it wasn't on all the other Stephanie Archer books I have read so far. You can definitely see the bones of what Stephanie Archer will become as an author with this book. I can definitely see the potential of this book, but personally I think this is a book that actually should have been a little bit longer, so the pacing could have been better, and also so we could have had a little bit more build-up to the romance in this novel. So, and if you had a little bit more build-up, the payoff when it comes to romance, I think it would have been better. But overall, it was just a fun, fluffy romance novel, a cute rom-com, and I do plan on continuing to read the series because That Kind of Guy, it's actually the first book in the Queen's Cove series, which I think have 4 books, each one following a different sibling from the Rhodes family. I know I have the second book on my TBR already, so I'll probably read that soon. But then the other 2 books, as of right now, as of the time I'm filming this clip, they aren't on Kindle Unlimited and they're actually quite expensive for Kindle books, or Kindle files, and I don't plan on paying that right now for those books. So if they ever go on Kindle Unlimited or when they go on sale, then I plan on getting to them and buying it so I can read them. But as of right now, because they're so expensive, I don't think it's worth the price tag. It is right now where I live, but I do plan on continuing to read series in the future, just because it was just such a fun, fluffy, cute rom-com, a great palette cleanser. So I ended up giving That Kind of Guy 3 stars, and after that I decided to pivot and go on a completely different direction, and I started reading Hyperion by Dan Simmons. and this is a sci-fi novel. I think it might be a space opera. I've gone into this book completely blind. I remember getting this book, and by the time I started reading it a few days ago, I don't remember anything about what the book was about. I don't remember what this book was supposed to be, only that it was sci-fi. But right now I'm 10% through the book, and from what I can tell, this book will follow a group of people, and they are going to this planet called Hyperion, which is a planet that it is very far from the main planets of this kingdom, of this empire, and it's kind of like the neglected planets. It's not the best planet from this empire, but this planet has this space which is very important for some kind of religion. Apparently one of the gods live in this area, and apparently this space, this kind of magical area, is about to open, and we have, I think it's 5 people that have been chosen to go to this area, to go back to Hyperion, so they can go to this area, and apparently they can make a wish to the god, and whoever the god picks out of this group will be the one that will get their wish granted, and the rest will die. And apparently there's also some sort of, there's a group of, I will call them scoundrels because I forgot the exact name of that group right now, but there's this group of like scoundrels who they are kind of circling. They are trying to get to Hyperion so they can take over the country, steal some stuff from the country. So the empire is sending some kind, I think, troops to go there and protect the planet, which probably there's something more to Hyperion that we don't know about as of the time I'm reading, as of 10% through the book. But from what I can tell, that's the plot of the book. I'm not sure. I'm going to this book very blind. I don't remember anything about what this book was supposed to be about. And so far, this is a very sci-fi novel, so if you don't like sci-fi, you won't like this book. But if you like sci-fi, you might like this book. Also, the chapters, they are very long because I'm 10% through this book. This is a 400-page book, and I'm still on chapter 1. Chapters are apparently very, very long, and that's all I know about Hyperion at this moment. So it's been way too many weeks since the last time I updated you on this vlog, because reading Hyperion took me way more time than I thought it would. It took me weeks to finish reading Hyperion, and I think that's because of the book, but also because I'm kind of in a reading slump, and Hyperion wasn't the ideal book to read while we are in a reading slump. But basically, let's just talk about why I didn't like Hyperion. So there are things about the book that I did enjoy, like the world building. I really like the world building from this book, but then you have things that just overshadowed the parts that I liked, like the very long chapters, which I understand why the author would do very long chapters because of the way the story is told, but for me, the long chapters just didn't work. Ideally, I would prefer if the author, for example, divided the book between parts, so we have part 1, part 2, part 3, because each chapters follow one character telling their stories. So ideally, I would like if the author would have divided it between different parts, and each part followed one character, and then inside each part we have multiple different chapters, because the very long chapters, each chapter is around 100 pages long, and sometimes I was reading it and it felt like it was never ending, and because it tells the whole story or the whole backstory of why that character is going to Hyperion, it felt like the stories ended up being too long. The stories could be divided between, I don't know, the stories could be divided. They didn't need to be all smashed together into one single chapter, but that's a me thing. For me, that kind of ruined the pacing of the novel.
Hi, it's Editing Carol here, and I just wanted to say that I was editing the video,
and I will talk about a certain trope that happens in this book. And some of the things that I was saying, I feel like it didn't really come out the best. But basically, Hyperion is a sci-fi novel that was published in 1989, so in any way, shape, or form, I was expecting this book to be anywhere inclusive when it comes to gender and all the different ways that this trope could have happened. So I will mention that one of the characters is a woman and that this trope can only happen because this character is a woman, but that's more, I'm saying this because this book is from 1989. I'm not expecting the book to be anywhere gender inclusive, and honestly, even if it was, in my opinion, if this trope happened and the book included a more modern idea of what gender is, a more 21st century idea of what a gender would be, for me it would also still not sit well, just because it would still feel tokenized. I'm not sure if it do make sense. I'm not trying to be offensive, I'm in any way, shape, or form. I just don't know exactly how to word it correctly. So if I'm offending anyone, I'm sorry. It's just that this trope for me, in this book, specifically because of everything surrounding this book and who the characters are, it just didn't sit right for me, and I don't think it would, no matter what other way the author would have done this trope, unless he would change a lot of the side characters, not side characters, but other characters in the story would be different. Another thing I didn't like is that there's this one trope in a lot of sci-fi novels, especially sci-fi novels written by men, and it was present in this book, and it didn't work. We follow 7 different characters. From the 7 characters, 6 are men and there's only 1 woman. And the men's stories, most of them could have happened with men, or could be a man or it could be a woman in the story, and it wouldn't really change much. But in the woman's stories, because of the outcome, it needed to be a woman. Unless the author wanted to do some kind of gender bending situation or change some rules of kind of create a new kind of not human, but like humanoid creature that could do things that humans can do. Unless the author was willing to do that, for the trope to work, for the ending of the story to work, it needed to be a woman, and that just didn't sit well with me, because then that's the reason why this woman is there. It felt like the only reason why there was a woman in the story is because of this one trope, while all the other stories, no matter the gender, they could have worked, but the woman's story needed to be a woman, and it just didn't sit well with me. Especially later on, when I found out some things about the author, some things that are alleged things about the author, it just didn't work for me. And overall, I like the world building, I like the premise, but the way it was executed, it just didn't work for me. Again, it took me weeks to read this book, and I'm torn whether or not I want to continue reading the series, because we kind of left in a sort of cliffhanger, even though I also think that cliffhanger could have been done a little bit better. But I think I'm going to sit on this book. I'm going to wait a while and see whether or not I end up being curious enough to see what will happen in the next books in this series. But overall, where I sit at this moment, I'm not really interested in continuing on with the series, and they were giving it 3 stars because, again, the world building is what gave 3 stars to the book. That's Hyperion. And after that, I needed something completely different. I needed something that didn't take place in space. I needed something that was quick and fast and easy to read, and that I had a feeling I would enjoy. So I ended up starting reading The Fletcher by Beth O'Leary. A few years ago, I read The No-Show by the same author, and I really enjoyed it, and then I got The Fletcher not long after that, and it has been sitting on my Kindle TBR for over a year. And because I enjoyed the other work by this author that I read before, I thought The Fletcher might be a good option, and so far it is. So in The Fletcher we follow Leon and Tiffany, or Tiffy. Leon, he's a night nurse, And Tiffy, she's a book editor at this very small printing press. She's going through a breakup. She recently moved out of her ex-boyfriend's apartment and she needed a cheap place to live. So she sees this ad online that Leon posted where for £250 a month they could share the apartment, but the catch is they will also share the same bed because there's only one bedroom in this apartment, and Leon always works at night, and on the weekends he spends at his girlfriend's apartment. So if you work a 9 to 5, you can stay in the apartment while he's not there, because the only time he would be there is when when the roommate is working. So they enter in this agreement. So they are not only roommates that still haven't met in the story yet, but they are also sharing the same bed. And I'm currently 21% through the book, or on chapter 15, and they started exchanging notes. So in the book they do this thing where they still haven't met in person yet, but they write post-it notes and they keep gluing stuff and they keep sending each other messages and saying, oh, I made some food, you can get the leftovers, or oh, I really like these scarves, why are you donating it to charity, can I buy it from you? Oh, yes, you can get this scarf. And they keep sending each other notes. And so far I'm only 21% of the way through the book, but I'm really enjoying it. It's really fun. I like that the chapters are not long, so it's quick to read. And there's only one thing that I'm worried about this book, is that I know this is a romance novel, but Leon still has a girlfriend, so I'm worried there might be some emotional cheating going on in this romance. But from an entertainment standpoint, I'm really liking it. I like the way Beth O'Leary writes, her writing style, I like the way she tells a story, and I'm really enjoying it. So yes, that's the reading update for now. I'm 60% through reading The Fletcher and I'm loving it. I definitely really like Beth O'Leary's writing style. I love that the 2 books that I read by this author so far, they are the quintessential British rom-com where there is a romance but the main characters' lives are kind of falling apart, and I'm just having a lot of fun reading this book, and there is not much left to read. I'm kind of sad that there isn't much left of the book, but also excited. The only thing though is that ideally between the characters meeting and them getting together, I just wish there was a little bit more of tension, of romantic tension between them, but overall this is a delightful book. If you like a quintessential British rom-com where the characters' lives is falling apart, this book seems to be a good option. But let's finish it and hopefully we'll continue to love it for the last 4% of this book. Hello, so it's been a few days, and actually it's been quite a few days. I just forgot to film the last clip for this vlog, but I finished reading The Fletcher by Beth O'Leary and I ended up giving this book 4 stars. It was just a classic British English rom-com where the main characters' lives is falling apart, but you follow them on this cute romance journey, and it's just a classic British rom-com. I don't know how else to describe this book, but I really loved it. I love the way Beth O'Leary writes her stories. I really like the dynamic between Leon and Tiffy, and just the whole story. It's quite emotional, there are ups and downs. It's not just a fluffy and funny and sweet and everything. It's perfect because it's a British rom-com, their lives is falling apart, and I just also like the side characters, and it was just such a good time. And after reading Hyperion, reading The Fletcher afterwards, I think it was a very wise decision and I had a lot of fun reading it. I also read it in a quite short period of time. It was great for binging, and yes, that's it for this vlog actually. If you liked it, please consider leaving a like if you liked the video and subscribing to the channel if you would like to have more bookish videos on your subscription box, and I hope to see you with another one very soon. Bye!